topic is hormones of gonads. Gonads means the organ which produces gametes. That organs are called gonads. So in female, ovaries are present. Ovaries are female gonad. Ovaries are female gonad, and ovaries secretes 4 types of hormones or 4 hormones, that is estrogen, progesterone, then relaxin and inhibin. Relaxin and inhibin. We will discuss one by one. So first of all, estrogen. This is ovary, and ovary is lined by germinal epithelium. So this is ovary which is lined by, this is germinal epithelium, just lining of ovaries. Ovary contain 3 types of follicles. That follicles are called ovarian follicles, and that follicles are, these are immature follicles. Immature follicles are present in the ovary right from the birth of female. These are immature follicles or primordial follicles. So when pituitary secretes FSH hormone, that is follicle stimulating hormone, which we have already discussed the role of FSH. So FSH stimulates one of the immature follicle, and then immature follicle start developing. Immature follicle convert into early primary follicle, then late primary follicle, late primary follicle. The next stage is secondary follicle. So this is secondary follicle. This is secondary follicle, and secondary follicle fully mature, and the secondary follicle is called Graafian follicle. It is called Graafian follicle. It contains female gamete, that is secondary oocyte. It is secondary oocyte. It is secondary oocyte follicle. So why I am drawing all these stages of ovarian follicles? Because these 3, early primary follicle, late primary follicle and secondary follicle, these are called growing follicles. These are called growing follicles. And these growing follicles secretes a hormone, estrogen. So estrogen is the hormone which is secreted by growing follicles in the ovary. And for the secretion of estrogen, which hormone is responsible? FSH. FSH hormone is secreted by anterior pituitary, which stimulates immature follicles to convert that immature follicle into mature Graafian follicle, as well as FSH hormone stimulates growing follicle to secrete a female hormone, that is estrogen. So role of estrogen in the body of female, estrogen, it is a female hormone. Clear? It is a female hormone which is secreted by growing follicles. It is secreted by growing follicles in the ovary. What is meant by gonad? Gonad means that organ which produces a gamete. That organ is called gonad. In the female, ovaries are present, and ovaries are gonads, female gonads. So estrogen is the hormone which is secreted by that growing follicles, and estrogen hormone is responsible for development of, secondary, sexual characters, secondary sexual characters in female. Then the another hormone is progesterone. Another hormone which is secreted by ovary is progesterone. See that Graafian follicle is a mature follicle. Graafian follicle is mature follicle, and all these follicles are under the influence of which hormone? FSH, and FSH is secreted by anterior pituitary. And which hormone is responsible for the release of FSH? That is GnRH, gonadotropins releasing hormone by hypothalamus. This hormone stimulates anterior pituitary for secretion of FSH, and FSH stimulates immature follicles for their maturation, as well as FSH stimulates growing follicles to secrete a hormone, female hormone, that is estrogen. So the another hormone, that is progesterone. So when that Graafian follicle get mature, this is Graafian follicle. So when that Graafian follicle get fully mature, then the level of estrogen in blood is at peak point. That increased level of estrogen in blood inhibit anterior pituitary to stop the secretion of FSH. Then anterior pituitary starts secretion of another hormone, and that is LH. Okay, luteinizing hormone. This LH hormone stimulates Graafian follicle. This hormone This hormone is called ovulatory hormone because it brings about ovulation. So LH hormone stimulates mature Graafian follicle. Then this Graafian follicle rupture. And ovum is released out of the ovary. So this process is called ovulation. LH hormone stimulates Graafian follicle, then Graafian follicle rupture and ovum release from the ovary. This is called ovulation. LH hormone also convert this empty Graafian follicle into an endocrine structure, and that endocrine structure is called corpus luteum. This endocrine structure is called corpus luteum. Any difficulty? So this corpus luteum is the endocrine structure which is formed from the empty Graafian follicle, and this corpus luteum secretes another hormone, that is progesterone. Which hormone? Progesterone. So progesterone is the hormone which is secreted by corpus luteum. Okay. So progesterone is the hormone which is secreted by corpus luteum of the ovary, but after ovulation. So this progesterone hormone is secreted by corpus luteum of the ovary after ovulation, and this hormone, that progesterone hormone, is responsible for thickening of uterine endometrium. This progesterone hormone is responsible for thickening of uterine endometrium. This is uterus. Okay. This is uterus, and these are walls of uterus. These are fallopian tubes. This is ovary. This narrow part of uterus is called cervix. This is called cervix. And wall of uterus, innermost wall of uterus, are richly supplied with blood vessels, and these walls are called endometrium. These are called endometrium. Any difficulty? So, when ovum is released from the ovary, then ovum move in the fallopian tube. Movement of ovum takes place from ovary to fallopian tube. For what purpose? For fertilization. And if in that span, that is its lifespan is 24 to 48 hours. Lifespan of ovum after its release is 24 to 48 hours. And if within that period, if that ovum get fertilized by sperm, then it will converted into zygote. So if ovum is fertilized, then formation of zygote takes place in the fallopian tube and pregnancy start. That this is pregnancy. Any difficulty with it? Pregnancy start. Then, so in the fallopian tube zygote is there, but in the ovary corpus luteum is there. So corpus luteum secretes a hormone progesterone, and progesterone is responsible for thickening of uterine endometrium in both the cases. That is, if zygote is fertilized or if zygote is not fertilized. Function of progesterone is thickening of uterine endometrium. Any difficulty? But if that ovum get fertilized, it is converted into zygote and pregnancy start. In that case, progesterone prepare uterus for, or progesterone prepares uterine endometrium for implantation of embryo. So after fertilization, zygote is formed, and then that zygote move towards uterus. So during its movement, development takes place in the zygote. So when zygote reaches into the uterus, it is a blastocyst stage. It is called a blastocyst stage. Which takes place 7 to 8 days after fertilization. So 7 to 8 days after fertilization, blastocyst is ready in the uterus, and that blastocyst is ready for the implantation. And before that, progesterone hormone prepares that endometrium for implantation of this stage, that is blastocyst. And then that blastocyst sink down in the uterine endometrium, and this is called implantation. Any difficulty, beta? This is called implantation. So what is the first role of progesterone? Progesterone is responsible for thickening of uterine endometrium. Progesterone prepare uterus for implantation. Progesterone maintain pregnancy. It prevent abortion. Progesterone maintain pregnancy means it prevent abortion. Progesterone is responsible for development of mammary glands. Growth and development of mammary glands during pregnancy. Progesterone also inhibit inhibit uterine contraction. It also inhibit uterine contraction, and that's why progesterone maintain pregnancy. It prevent abortion by preventing or by inhibiting uterine contraction. It also it maintain pregnancy. It is responsible for development of mammary glands during pregnancy. It prepares uterine endometrium for implantation, and that progesterone is responsible for thickening of uterine endometrium. Then next hormone which is secreted by ovary, and that hormone is, yes, relaxin hormone. That is relaxin hormone. Oocyte. Relaxin. When gestation period is over, gestation period means just pregnancy period. So if this is pregnant uterus, means the uterus contain a fully developed a baby, if it is a baby, and if gestation period is over, gestation period means pregnancy period. After the completion of pregnancy period, after the completion of gestation period, that corpus luteum secretes relaxin hormone. Corpus luteum secretes relaxin hormone. That relaxin hormone relaxes cervix. Relaxin hormone relaxes cervix, because here cervix is that is the narrow part of uterus. So here that relaxin stimulates or relaxin relaxes cervix of the uterus, means relaxin dilates cervix of uterus, and as well as relaxin also relaxes ligaments of pelvic bones. Ligaments of pelvic bones. So what is the role of relaxin? Relaxin relaxes cervix. Relaxin relaxes cervix of uterus, means relaxin dilates cervix of uterus, as well as relaxin relaxes ligaments of pelvic bones. So in the pelvic girdle there is a pubic symphysis. There is pubic symphysis. In our pelvic region there are two bones, two hip bones, and each hip bone consists of three bones, that is ilium, ischium and pubis. So this is a front portion of a pelvic girdle, and these are two pubic bones. This is pubic, this is also pubic, and these two pubic bones are connected to each other by a fibrous joint. Okay, so this is here there is a cartilage. Two pubic bones are connected to each other by means of cartilage. So it is a slightly movable joint in case of female, but in case of male it is immovable joint. So between two pubic bones, that joint between two pubic bones is called pubic symphysis. It is called pubic symphysis. So pubic symphysis. So during parturition, during delivery, that relaxin hormone relaxes cervix of the uterus, as well as relaxin hormone relaxes ligaments of pelvic bones. It also relaxes pubic symphysis. It also relaxes pubic symphysis, means it increases the space. It increases the space. It increases, it dilates birth canal. It dilates birth canal for easy birth of baby. for easy birth of baby. And the last hormone is inhibin. Last hormone, that is inhibin. This hormone is also secreted by corpus luteum. This hormone is also secreted by corpus luteum, and inhibit secretion of FSH and GnRH. Inhibit the secretion of FSH and GnRH during pregnancy. Means one immature follicle gets stimulated by FSH. That follicle converted into Graafian follicle rupture, ovum release out of the ovary, and that ovum get fertilized. And pregnancy start in the uterus of that female. And during her pregnancy, there is no secretion of FSH, there is no secretion of GnRH, and there is no development of another immature follicle up to birth of the baby, and up to the age of 6th month of baby. So during her pregnancy, inhibin hormone is secreted by corpus luteum, and inhibin hormone inhibits secretion of FSH and secretion of GnRH. Means inhibin inhibit hypothalamus to stop the secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormone. It also inhibits anterior pituitary to stop the secretion of follicle stimulating hormone.